What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host, Ben Robertson, and first off, big thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's episode. Don't forget to scan that QR code and sign up today. Let's chat about this weekend's matchup against the Nuggets. Let's get ready for today's matchup against the Clippers, as well as the rest of this week. Quick check-in on Cam Whitmore, of course, now ruled out for the season. Wizards have applied for that disabled player exception. Let's look at the future there, and of course, we'll jump into the comment section from the previous video. Appreciate all your support here on the page. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons while you're down in that comment section. And chatting about that Denver Nuggets matchup. Something about the Nuggets seems to bring out the best in our young Wizards. Remember last year they went 2-0 against Denver, and then the other night on Saturday really hung with them until the final few minutes of that fourth quarter. Fun game to watch again here on this kind of journey of a season. And the big takeaway for me, Keyshawn George, I mean, that's an absolute superstar performance. I'm not saying he's a superstar yet in the NBA, but I mean, he's progressing there, and that was electric from him. 29 points, 7 assists, 5 boards, throw in a few blocks as well to his stat line. And for me, again, he's certainly still developing, but all of the tools out of this young core, he might have the most tools when you think about what he brings to the table offensively, scoring, passing, the playmaking, the shooting at multiple levels, and then you flip it to the other end. He gets in foul trouble a little bit too often, but the defense we're obviously really excited about. The Swiss Army knife seems like too obvious with him as a nickname or kind of a joke, but he really is kind of becoming that guy. And because he brings all those different skills to the table, it's why I think the future is so bright with him. When you look at maybe Bilal Coulibaly, for instance, who I know is going to be out tonight. We're going to chat, or out today, really, but we're going to chat about the injury report here in a sec. But you think about Bilal, we love his defense, but we constantly go, hey, he's got to bring, the same level of production at the offensive end. Even when you look at an Alex Sarr, we obviously talk, I feel like there's still an element, maybe his kind of, physicality inside that he still has to add to his game. With Keyshawn George, I kind of look at him and go, you got all the schools, all the skills, I should say. You just got to keep refining those. And I mean, the sky is a limit. It was a really exciting performance. I mentioned we're going to chat just quickly here about the injury report for today's matchup against the Clippers. Again, just quickly, because there's a decent chance you've already seen this game. Maybe you're tuning in here on a Monday evening. By the way, we'll be chatting about that matchup tomorrow. Make sure you're tuned in 11 a.m. here to the page. But Bilal and Tristan Vukcevic gonna be out. Cam Whitmore, Trae Young, the expected ones to be on that injury report. And then Kawhi Leonard gonna be out for the Clippers. Hoping Bilal, especially when you look at that injury report, is back for the Wizards later this week. A couple more matchups here on the schedule as well. They'll take on Denver again on Thursday, and then another matchup this year against Charlotte will be the Saturday night game. So an interesting little week here for the Wizards. Before we hop into the Cam Whitmore situation and kind of what his future looks like here with the team, fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. For today's Wizards-Clippers matchup, I'm selecting Keyshawn George for higher than 15.5 points, and James Harden for higher than 28.5 points. Hoping Keyshawn keeps it rolling. That's the same selection as last Friday. And then James Harden with Kawhi Leonard out, I'm thinking is going to put up some numbers. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BasketballFan. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-877-8 or text from 467-369.
So, mentioned back at the top, but the team has applied for that disabled player exception with a Cam Whitmore out for the year with those blood clots. Obviously, a very serious thing. Something, again, chatted about when this kind of the news dropped with the Cam Whitmore. Feels like, I mean, Chris Bosh was the first big name, really, but feels like I know Damian Lillard dealt with something like this. This has just been kind of popping up with some of the NBA players over the last few years. From my understanding, something that isn't maybe specific to athletes, but some of the stress level, and just not only mentally, but on their bodies can kind of cause some of this stuff over the course of the year. But it really does put, and I realize this is a much bigger than basketball situation. Obviously, his health we're talking about, but it puts his NBA future, at least with the Wizards, in a very interesting spot. Remember, the team has a club option for him next year. And frankly, I mean, this year was rocky. I don't think when that trade was made over the summer, or I guess it got worked in to the McCollum deal, but I guess I don't think this is what the team maybe was. I'm not sure if expecting, but or hoping for in terms of the best case scenario over the games that Cam Whitmore did play in. It was just kind of up and down. And then, it seemed like there was a little bit of clash, with the coaching staff, things like that. And for me, going into the year, I've been pretty vocal. The expectation, I think for all of us, the big talking point was him versus Bilal, two year three players kind of fighting it out to when they become extension eligible at the next off season. One of those guys, might be, which one of those guys is going to be able to land that deal. And right now, I mean, Bilal Coulibaly, it's been frustrating with him. He's out right now, but probably leading, that race just a little bit. I mean, just based off of, his history with the team, I guess a slightly larger body of work at this point. But it hasn't been the heated race we were expecting. And frankly, it's just been a whole bunch of bad luck for both of those guys. Really interested to see. I mean, again, I keep saying it, but the Wizards are kind of going to get. Now you throw in Trae Young to this situation as well. But with those two guys, plus Trae Young, it's going to be extension chaos once this next offseason comes up. And I'm really curious to see how it all kind of gets handled because even with all that cap space next year, I'll keep hammering this point home. There's going to be decisions that have to be made for this front office. Let's quickly hop into the comment section here on today's episode. Appreciate all your support here on the page. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Of course, scan that QR code and sign up for Underdog Fantasy as well. Kenneth Rabin says, I'm going to assume that Trae Young is the point guard here for a few years. And if the draft gods smile, that means the Wizards would walk off with Boozer. That would be best case scenario, or DeBonsa next best, and see you at the play-in at a minimum. And again, the decision there with a Trae Young, we're talking extension, but where if the team extends him right over the offseason, I have to imagine they're it leaves them with one of two choices, I guess. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking through this in my head. We chatted about this a little bit last week, but you're either in a spot where if he plays super well, right, in the first half of the year, hey, maybe you do get something in return for him. But if you reach that extension over the offseason, then you're in a situation where if you don't get anything back in return in a trade, he doesn't boost his value the way he might like, or maybe you just don't get anything you're interested in terms of an offer. Well, hey, you could just make that play and push and not have to be worried about Trae Young walking out the door at the end of the season, right? Looking at Multiverse Joe's comment real quick, that Sacramento matchup he was talking about, that was last Friday night. That was just a tank fest game, 128-115. Really, I mean, it got off to an ugly start. The Wizards kind of made it look like, might make things interesting. And then, again, it ended up just kind of being a tank fest affair. It was 41-22 after the first quarter to a 12-win now Sacramento team. Yeah, and you could catch my drift coming into this video. We were just talking about the Nuggets matchup. I skipped right on through that. Let's one last comment here from Joseph Gadsden. Always appreciate your takes. Always get something a little spicy here. He says, why does no one talk about us needing a real coach with the name of John Wall, Sam Cassell, Mark Jackson, Steve Nash, comma, anyone? And I will say, I sort of, I don't want to say predicted here, but I didn't think Brian Keefe was going anywhere, at least during the course of this season. But it's going to be, again, we talk about extensions and decisions to be made there. That's going to be another big decision for the team to make over the offseason. Is this the guy that they want to make the play-in push with? That is Coach Keefe. Or, again, is there a fresh face needed? I'm probably thinking the latter. But hey, I've said before, maybe Will Dawkins, the one caveat there is maybe Will Dawkins and Brian Keefe, their history, they understood what this year was going to be so well that Will Dawkins says, hey, you can run it back with an actual chance to compete next season. But that's going to wrap it up for me today. Enjoy the game. We'll chat about it tomorrow. Tune in to the page at 11 a.m. Appreciate all your support here on the page. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.